morning once again. My name is Pascal Mwele from Palladium, and I will be your moderator for this session, which is a session to discuss O3 from design to scale. And on that, we will just be reviewing the journey and the experiences so far on designing O3 and the ideas, expectations on taking O3 to scale. So to get us started, I'll request the panelists to introduce themselves, the organizations, and give a brief on your organization's involvement in the community from the design stage to taking O3 to implementation. So we'll start with you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elton Bambu. I'm with USSF. So our involvement in the design and scale of O3. So I'll start by saying that I'd say we are not field partner. We are more of a HIS partner, and we are in the community to support the REFAB development and to make sure that the countries adopting O3 have the necessary tools they have to implement on their countries. So we actually support countries and we don't implement OpenMRS per se, although we have one implementation of OpenMRS in Namibia. And we also support countries like Nigeria, Ethiopia, Rwanda. In O3 design, we've been involved in the design and conception of the form engine, the React form engine. That's one of the, I would say, main components of O3 because we all need forms. The other key aspect that we involved is actually with the content packages. If you join one of the unconferenced, you might know what I'm talking about, which is basically a way of sharing content between implementations, which was always in OpenMRS a challenge. So now OpenMRS has a clear way of doing that. So that's essentially our involvement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edson. We'll hand over to the next panelist. Over to you.
Thank you, Pascal, and good morning, everyone. So my name is Stephen Onye. I'm representing Intellisoft. So Intellisoft is a technology development company. We are a private company registered in Kenya, and we have quite a bit of work, mostly in sub-Saharan Africa. And basically the way we work is we get contracts from development partners and also implementing organizations in the countries we work. So some of the work we're doing is in South Sudan, where we're working with ICAP to develop for them the national EMR system, the South Sudan EMR system. Currently, I think that's running in about 6 facilities now, and that's running on O3. And then I would say our other national level work is in Botswana, where we're working with Botswana Institute of Technology Research and Innovation, which is a government entity within the Ministry of ICT, if I remember correctly. They basically support Ministry of Health, and we've built for them Botswana EMR, which is powered by OpenMRS, but that's running on 2.x. We've got a couple of other work as well we are doing in Kenya, working quite closely with Palladium, and we've also worked quite a lot with other organizations before. Right from when we started, so had some contributions even to Uganda EMR in the early days, to Kenya EMR in the early days, even when I used to work for iTech before, when we started off building Kenya EMR back then. So I would say we've seen the journey from 1.x, 2.x, and now 3.x. And I think just to answer Pascal's question directly, it's been interesting. And I would say Intellisoft's specific involvement in O3 started off in the hackathon we had in Eldoret in 2019. I think it was a micro front-end hackathon. Very interesting early days. All of us were trying to figure out what is this thing we're trying to do here. And if some of you who've been around long enough remember, around the same time, Buck also wrote a really interesting article on the amazing future of OpenMRS, and there were lots of discussions going on around that time. And I don't know how many of you have been around long enough to understand the history of OpenMRS from when OpenMRS was running a lot on JSP, then to GSP. And I think all through that time, at least my recollection was what enabled OpenMRS to work really well. And that's one of the things that I think is very important for O3 as well, is collaboration. So much as the technologies were a little bit of a pain, I think we all agree, but what really made a big difference was the element of collaboration, given that we were all feeling the same pain. So as much as people try to solve their own problem in their own bespoke ways, I think what kept bringing us together was the fact that we needed to solve this problem together for majority of us to use the solution. And so I think O3, in my opinion, has managed to do that in a really smart way. One, obviously, in terms of using modern technologies, so it's a lot easier for developers who are here, and I'm sure we've had people talking about that from their own personal testimonies, being able to become very productive in a very, very short time within O3 and actually build, like complete modules that are deployable and that are, can be deployed in production within a very, very short time. And I think, for example, from our team, we've got developers who joined us, and honestly, within 2 weeks, because they came in with experience and expertise of working in web technologies, mostly the JS variants, they're able to build out, production level ready features and even modules within weeks. Actually for one of our implementations, for those of you who went to St. Joseph's yesterday, some members of my colleagues were able to build out some features like in a matter of days or even weeks. So I think for me, that's the power we're seeing within O3. But fundamentally, what I think O3 has managed, in my very strong opinion, is enhancing collaboration. Because underneath all these, technologies will change. But I think the fact that that thread has persisted all through, JSP, GSP, now we are in modern technologies, who knows what's coming next? But I think one thing that hasn't changed much, but in actual sense has gotten better, is just the element of collaboration.
Thank you very much, Steve. And the next panelist.
Yeah, morning, everyone. My name is Rugut Kibet. I work with Ampath. All of us here have joined the OpenMRS conference. And the OpenMRS, or Ampath, is a matter of OpenMRS. It started all in Ampath, and now it's scaled to everywhere. So for us, I think we contribute to the community to ensure that the scale up and use of MRS 3.x is used and powered by OpenMRS. And basically, what we really focus on is to ensure that, of course, Ampath is both implementing partner and HIS, because we build our own system on top of what we use now, on top of OpenMRS. And to ensure that we contribute all the innovations that we do is tied back to the community, and to ensure that it's scalable and used for everyone. For us, I think the main focus is to ensure that the scale of O3 is now fully rolled out in all our facilities to ensure that it's covering the hospital-wide use, not only focusing on the HIV part, and to ensure that whatever the innovations that we come up with end up to the community. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Next panelist.
Greetings. My name is Alvin Hamadi, working with the Elizabeth Glazier Pediatric AIDS Foundation, that is EGPOF Kenya. And we work mainly as an implementing partner with 2 implementing mechanisms covering 6 counties with over 400 facilities that we do support. So we've been working hand in hand with the community, together with Palladium, to ensure that we have these systems deployed as fast as possible to the end users, and they can actually benefit from the use of Kenya EMR, whether it's on 2.x or running on O3. So what we've done uniquely, especially within the sites that we support, is we have implemented the use of cloud technology to have these, to scale these systems to all these facilities that we support. As we are all aware, the biggest challenge that healthcare, implementing mechanisms usually face when it comes to scale up is usually the cost. And you look at how implementation is, the norm is we do some sort of LAN implementation within facilities. You buy a server, you buy your networking equipment, and you have all these equipments working for your Kenya EMR instance to support clinical clinical observation within the facility. But what we've done is we decided deliberately to have a tier 3 data center that we are deploying all our instances running on Kenya EMR to all facilities. Of course, realizing over 70% reduction in cost of deployment. And if you have that kind of cost savings, then what that means for you is you have the ability to scale up faster and to many facilities as you'd wish. So this, of course, gives us other capabilities that you can use within the cloud. That is, you have availability of this data above site, which of course gives the programs and the Ministry of Health the ability to provide better support to the healthcare facilities because they have this data with them. And when it comes to, of course, relaying the new releases given out by Palladium, we have some level of automation which gets these releases to all the healthcare facilities within an hour. So when you have a release out, it would take so many days or a few weeks to have these scaled up when you're using LAN implementation. But when you do cloud, then you have these scaled up quite quickly. So that is all we've been doing so far, and we appreciate to be here with us. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Alvin. Thank you, Rugut. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Hudson. And I'll ask anyone from the audience who would like to share their experience and their journey from in O3 design all the way to scale. There's a free seat right there. You're welcome to join us and share your experience. And as you gather the courage to come up front, I'll ask a question to the panelists. Looking back, Steve, you mentioned that there's a hackathon that we held back in 2019 on micro frontends, just to demystify and tell the story of what is possible, hosted by Ampath, and the community was there. I remember from that time, one thing that became abundantly clear is that we needed new skills. So I remember from Palladium side, we had to hire a UX specialist to be part of the team. So looking forward, what kind of skills, expertise do we need collaboratively as a community, individually as organizations to invest in for us to take O3 to scale? And then we'll have you share about your experience.
Thanks, Pascal. I think from a technology perspective, and I probably might not be the best person to answer that in detail, but I think just building up on what you've said, I think O3 has, from my vantage point and my participation within the OpenMRS community, I think O3 has definitely demystified OpenMRS in my very strong opinion. I was sharing with Bak yesterday that I remember when we had the meeting in Philippines, and I was really interested in trying to go back into software development. And one Daniel Kayua attempted to teach me OpenMRS on the flight to Philippines. I told him this is not going to work. It's just too complicated. So I left at that point. But working with younger developers, who are in the community now, and just seeing them being very productive within a very short time, I think for me it tells me, especially because I'm running a business and we have real contracts, and all that. And seeing happy clients means that there's something we're doing right. And these guys are coming into the OpenMRS space, into digital health space, ready to work and actually ready to be productive. But I think I also need to mention that the structures that OpenMRS has put in place, including thinking through design science, and engaging, for example, I think it's IBM now you're working with on carbon and all that, has really raised the bar high. Before it was, patch up things here and there, do your own design schemas and all that, and get stuff going. But I think everything is really controlled and well thought through. Right from working through the squads, and I think now the feature squads, and thinking through every detail. And so I think, Pascal, to answer you directly, what that has done is that it has also opened up the space for, we're having a lot more, truly trained, experienced experts in those spaces. So you have truly trained UI, UX people actually coming to say, this is how you do it. If you want to build an interface that healthcare workers in Kenya, in a rural facility in Kenya can actually use, this is how you do it. Don't just cobble things together. And then now you've got developers who understand the tech stack really well, who are then able to get specifications that they can then write code around. Yeah.
Excellent. And when you talk of the skills and all that, demystifying, but also lowering the bar to entry for developers and the like. I recall the journey that UCSF has taken. Youthsod, you can share the experience in promoting React Form Engine. And the basic idea behind this is that, when you look at the marketplace and you look at skills available, we have many more React developers, and that lowers the bar to entry. How has your experience been in developing the React Form Engine?
Yeah, so I agree with that. The choice for React actually was a wise choice by the community. And as you're saying, we have a larger pool of developers nowadays using React, and React is also a framework that is largely used by big companies like Facebook, etc. So yeah, for us, I think the journey was quite, I won't say it was smooth. I'm always honest. It wasn't smooth because although we do use React, and then most of our developers are well versed in React, there is still, I would say, there is still lack of understanding of the core of O3. So even if I ask here in the room how many developers really understand how like the extension framework system works, how the core of OpenMRS O3 works, I don't think we can get to the 10%. And I think for me, that's what's still lacking. We all know React, but I think we need to master the framework we are using, which is O3. O3 now became a framework, so it's not just like the presentation layer of OpenMRS, but it's a framework, and I'm willing to see more developers understanding that, because that's when we support countries, that's the gap we see. We always have requests from countries trying to understand how do we fix this, how do we fix that, and then you need to go through that process of going to OpenMRS Help Me channel and asking like folks like Dennis and Ian, and then when they're not available, countries get stuck. So for me, I think that's the main point and the gap we have.
Excellent opportunity there to build capacity also and have ways that are replicable. So we can hear the experience from Uganda. Start by introducing yourself and tell us your journey on OpenMRS O3 to implementation, design to implementation.
Hi, my name is Samuel. Work for METS in Uganda, and my role is basically to make sure that the distribution of Uganda MRI is healthy and following standard practices. Well, our journey started off by sending a couple of devs to Eldoret on the first hackathon. And that brought a lot of excitement at that time. Everybody was talking about, oh, now we have this new framework. I wasn't in Eldoret. I'm like, okay, how do we get started with it? At that time, basically, there were a lot of things which were lacking in the framework. First of all, we had, at that time, I think there was a form builder by Ampath, but I think it was online, where you had to first build a form online and then have to find ways of actually having it in your distribution. The first thing I said, okay, I don't think this is going to work. let's first stick to what we know, and then after we'll actually see how best. Then I remember at that time we're having a conversation with Fiti, and he told me we are going to build a form builder, and it's going to be nice, and it's going to work. I'm like, okay, I can't wait for that, because I would really love to see a form builder. So the aspect of being able to leverage on everybody's experiences and work they've been able to do, I think has been the greatest structure in which we've used actually to leverage and use and also build a distribution. Today, Uganda EMR, Jonathan mentioned on Wednesday that we are in about 150 facilities of all three already. And how have we been able to do this? We've been able to do this through use of adapting other builds from different places to ensure that actually we can build a distribution which works. From design to implementation, how have we been able to do that? Internally, we don't have a resident designer. We don't have that privilege. So, but we have analysts who actually help us to do analysis and then be able to design off some of the things that we've been able to see. And then actually we iterate through those designs as actually sometimes we build. It's tedious to build while actually you're designing. Also, we have been able to leverage on the community designers like Kieran Adams, been able to leverage on those ones to be able to inform decisions that we take when it comes to design. Then development, there are some custom things we have in there that we've been able to do within the all three structures, but also we have mostly leveraged on actually what already exists, what is already being built. But not only just sitting back and just simply saying, oh, we will take that. No, we are also being active. We're also actively engaged in community to make sure that actually we build with the community. When we don't like something, we change it. We ask to change it. We talk about it. We keep on making changes by conversations and also being able to contribute. We had a stock management module, which we had back in 2.x when Palladium was like, oh, we also like this. We're like, okay, let's see actually how best we can now bring it forward within the community so that we can, everybody can leverage on it, and a squad is formed. We build on that. We find this stock management in there, and everybody gets to like it. Now, it fully move it to the community repository. Like, that's no longer ours to maintain now fully, but we shall maintain it as part of the community. The other thing, we have been successful at actually going in facilities because of the experience that we share. When we're setting up, like when we started off making sure that we build up something really solid, we actually got a developer in our hackathon. Dennis traveled all the way from Kenya to just simply come in and actually see how best we can actually build. And we're like, okay, moving on from onwards, we shall basically ensure that actually we can leverage community efforts to see that actually we build a much more better, robust, and standard distribution. And today we are really in a better position.
Thank you very much, Samuel. I'll ask Alvin or Rugut to talk about deployment. There's a lot of interest in deploying at scale in a multi-tenancy setup. What do you see as the challenges and or opportunities in doing that? And as either of them responds to that, please get ready to, if you have any comments, thoughts, reflections as to how the community can assist in taking all three to scale, please prepare yourself for that. So Rugut, over to you.
Thanks, Pascal. Yeah. For us, we do an implementation that is centralized, hosted in one server. then it hosts all the facilities in one database. So we call it a multi-tenancy kind of deployment, whereby we ensure that all the facilities get access to one infrastructure. And from there now we reroute on your logins to which facility that you want to access the information from. This has been helpful, especially for the clans that are migrating over a regional, because for us, we implement in 6 counties, that is in North Rift and western part of the country. And for that, it's been helpful in regards that once the clans move from one facility to the other one, the records moves with the clans. And with this one, we say that it helps us to have a patient-centered service, because once you move with your records, at least there's some things that doesn't have to be repeated, but you just get from the historical encounters that has happened in our EMR. Then when it comes to the tech space, it's easier to do the upgrades, because you just, once you've done your fixes, because for us, we have developers in-house. So, and we get access to the server. Then when you have any enhancements that are, or bug fixes that you've done, you just do them on the fly, because you just notify the facilities that this is the enhancements that has been done, these are the bug fixes that has happened. Then you do them once, because once you've just deployed, it hits all the facilities instantly. I can say a bit of the challenges is issues of connectivity sometimes. When there is maybe internet issues in some facilities, then we notice that the server might not be accessible, but we've tried as much as possible to have alternative ISPs, which make sure that when one is not working, we quickly switch off alternative power sources, so that we make sure that the uptime is almost at 99 to 100%. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So I'll open the floor for questions, thoughts, and reflections.
All right, so thank you very much. My name is Jibril from Nigeria, also part of the OpenMRS community. So we're in the process of designing and customization and migration from 2.x to 3.x. We're also in Mombasa last year with the bootcamp, with the UCSF team and the rest of the team, and thanks to all the contributions towards helping us get there. Since we are currently in the migration process, I would just want to ask from already those that have gone through the process, what are the things that we should look out for, and the do's and don'ts, so that we can avoid the mistakes that you guys have already been through. Thank you.
Thank you, Jibril. We can take 2 more questions.
Morning, my name is Tom. I'm with CDC in Rwanda. I think my question is very similar to Jibril's. In Rwanda, we are just getting into, transitioning to O3 front end. So we're maintaining our 2.5.6 backend, but moving to the O3 framework. And we're working closely with the UCSF, Yudson, Mwariri, and others. So I think my question was very similar, especially for those who've already gotten some level of maturity with the O3 deployment, because we are just at the point where we are kind of migrating our forms, moving our forms and in selected modules. And we've identified like 3 or 4 sites where we want to initially start and then learn from there. But I think getting to learn from the experience of those who already deployed and just some of the landmines that we need to look out for. So very similar question to Jibril's.
Okay, thank you. There is a question back there. Then we can have the panelists respond. Migration.
Yeah, thanks. So my name is Boniface Makone from CDC Kenya. So mine will be just a question, one question, but at least I can provide some comments. So I think in terms of skills, as Pascal has asked, I think front end will actually be key. But there's also another aspect. There's a difference when you are designing and developing the system and actually implementing it. So when you're implementing the system, let's say like for those in the cloud, you'll also require some DevOps skills. So that's something that guys also need to be aware of. And the other thing is in terms of deployment, for people actually moving to the cloud, I think one of the most important things I think we are trying to push for, I think as Ruguta said, is multi-tenancy. So as you don't actually have to run, let's say if you have 400 sites, you don't need to run 400 instances of Tomcat, 400 instances of everything end to end. You can actually have one and you can actually use that. So just thinking about that, and then the offline support will be important in such instances because you should not expect that the client will be online all the time. And then in terms of scaling, when you do the centralized deployment, there's also that single point of failure. So I don't know how Rugut and team are actually dealing with that. And it will be good for us also to think about using orchestration tools so that at least we move from servers and we actually think in terms of clusters. So if you want to use something like Kubernetes and all that, I know there's some work going around that. I expected to see that during the session yesterday, but it did not materialize. Yeah, thanks. So for me, I think how do you actually handle this single point of failure as much as a centralized system is actually the way to go? Thanks.
Excellent, thank you. And I'm going to put Grace on the spot here to respond to the questions from Jibril and Tom. And I'll also ask Samuel to share your experiences on migration. So Grace, you've been moving around, you've seen many transitions, migrations. What do you think are potential landmines to watch out for? And what are the best practices and lessons learned?
Thank you so much. It's a great question and one that lots of people are facing. Our colleague Yudson had a really good point about when they first started their O3 journey 2 years ago. It was not so easy for a wide variety of reasons. And we've learned from that as a community. So what I would say to you and your team is step one, before you do anything else, go to the academy, the om.rs/academy, and have your engineers take the onboarding to O3, because we cover in that very short course all of the key concepts that you need to know. In addition to React, what else do you need to know? And then in terms of some of the common pitfalls that we've seen people run into, we really try to cover all of that in this course. We'll make sure that you know where to find the right documentation, where to find community resources. For example, we have run into some teams where we meet them several months into their O3 journey, and we're like, wow, we didn't know you were starting to work with O3. And then we find out that they've been struggling for those months and they didn't need to. One of the other common pitfalls that we do see is sometimes there's confusion about the new design guidelines that come with O3. You might remember a couple days ago, I showed that slide of all of the different looking OpenMRS implementations. We never want that situation to happen again if we can avoid it. And so we really try to make it clear also in the onboarding course about the design guidelines to follow. In fact, if you have your computer open, you can even find those right now. The short link is om.rs/O3UI. O3UI. And there you'll find a lot of documentation that we learned over the years we needed about what should a medication look like, what should the patient header look like. And then that gives you guidance so that when you come to the community, people are not like, your work looks too different for us to even consider. We're trying to help avoid that situation. Over to you, Samuel.
Thank you. We'll have Samuel and then Edson.
Migration. I think if at all you're already running an OpenMRS instance that is already has been existing, I don't think there should, and then you can upgrade that instance. There shouldn't be a need for you to deal with a migration, but I think the right word to use here would be a transition from the old UI to the new UI. There are two things that have given us the success that we have. One, you have to be able to handle change management right when it comes to facilities. The biggest problems are not going to be about the technology breaking, but the biggest problems are going to be about perspective and how people actually adopt to the new from the old. People usually have a tendency of keeping custom to what they know. Like, for example, we had this challenge, the card has to be blue. I think the blue card here is green, right? Right? In Uganda, it's blue. I think it's transitioning from a blue one to something else, but it had to be blue. These fields have to be there. You have to run it this way. So, but being able to build a mindset shift and being able to tell people, no, actually, I think the information you're looking for is still right here, but but it would made it easier for access and also easier to capture. So change management has to be part of your process when actually you're dealing with changing, like transitioning from an O2 to an O3. One of the other thing that we've been able to do is making sure that we can easily upgrade easily upgrade. We have always got support from the community to ensure that actually we can always see that we are upgradable. From one of the biggest jump which we've ever made is jumping from 2.3.1 of platform to a 2.6 platform. That is key because it's important that you work with developers of the community as well as the developers of your developers, so that actually they can be able to help you transition within the tech itself, transitioning to a 1. Something like 2.5 or 2.6. That's really important. When it comes to deployment, we don't run a multi-tenancy, we don't run in the cloud. We run at facility level. We install at facility level. All we always have to do is, we always had a WAR file approach whereby just simply upload a WAR file somewhere. We usually use ForceForge and then everybody gets it and everybody upgrades by themselves. But now we have two files. We have the WAR file, and also now we have the SPA front-end file, which you actually have to share. So these two, we always share them whenever we have updates, especially for facilities that are running O3. But we are looking forward to a day when actually we can package all this in one and then it unfolds. So this is one of the things that we are looking out for. But so far, so good, and we are running well.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Yudson, just quick reflections. We are really running out of time. If you have a question that you must ask, please raise your hand.
Yeah, so for me, the questions that Jibril and Tom made, the same question basically. What I would say is that we should not only think about the technology. Switching from the 2.x to 3.x is easily done. But one thing we need to take in consideration is actually what this panel is about, design. Because when you go into O3, if you just move your UI to O3, the only thing that you actually will leverage is like the forms, right? But you need to think about how can I leverage the dispensing app or the order basket and all of those things, because I know that in most of the old implementations, those were done through forms, but O3 now enables implementers to use a lot. So if you just move and then you don't think about the journey on how you can basically move everything, because I've seen multiple implementation using a lot, like encounters and observations. If you don't think about that journey, it's basically just like buying a truck and then using it just to go to work, and then you're not like using it. It's like, yeah, you're basically not using O3 as it's supposed to be. So it's really important to think about what features O3 offers and how can we leverage that as an implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Steve, anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me in closing, thanks a lot, Pascal, for this panel. I think just want also to say that as we look forward, I think to add to your first question, success for OpenMRS and for O3 will depend on how well I think we enhance the leadership and governance. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with how OpenMRS is structured, but there's a board with community representation, and it's very open, and they really like to encourage everyone to step up and step into leadership. That's one. Secondly, I think continuing to strengthen the global support team, all the great work that Grace and team are doing, critically important for O3 to scale. And then I think thirdly, honestly continuing to invest a lot more in the community and the individuals. Thank you.
Excellent. So there was a question that had been asked about, are we investing in new skills, DevOps? Are we thinking about different approaches to multi-tenancy? You could have something on cloud, but it's in a VM, or you could have it in a sort of like a serverless setup. You need to think about orchestration. You need to think about offline support. So the technical considerations are relatively easy, as you can hear from the panelists, but the critical issue of change management is important. Grace has talked about OpenMRS Academy. There are tools there that are available to help you with the transition. And Samuel has made also an interesting point that let's call this a transition, not a migration. So on that note, and on those wise words, I'd like to thank you all. Thank you, the panel, for sharing your insights and experiences. And thank you for giving us your attention. Thank you very much.